Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday night, and that means this is the zoo, meaning we've got YouTube, the preparedmind.club, subscribestar.com, Facebook, and X, aka Twitter, as well as I think Rumble and BitChute rolling in the background as well. We've got the entire, well, should say class of preppers here. Welcome one, welcome all. This is your show tonight. Sunday Night Live is always the show where you guys have an opportunity to run the whole show front to back, top to bottom, etc., etc. And it's also our, I guess you could say it's kind of like our Jerry Lewis telethon, except we're not helping kids with muscular dystrophy. We're helping me keep the lights on and keep Spam and tuna fish and scotch in the pantry. Anyways, it's a great time. What we do is we sit here. You guys bring up the subjects. We talk about those for the whole show as we get ready for the coming week. And you can talk about last week, last month, last year. You can look forward to this week, months ahead, etc. And we spend an awful lot of time right where we're at discussing what's happening. As far as I'm concerned, shit is hitting the fan in many, many, many different ways and places, right? The street may not be on fire, right? Bridges aren't collapsing everywhere. There's no atomic explosions at the moment, but it is definitely coming apart. And I kind of liken it to an old jacket. You start pulling on the sleeves, pulling on the lapels, and it kind of starts coming apart at the stitches. Right? The stitches are being stressed. What's holding it all together is being stressed. So, one more item. Oh, yeah. If you want to get your question on here, if you want to run the show, it is critically important that you hit the super chat button up there, or in the description down below, we've got CashApp, Venmo, and PayPal as a way to make a contribution. And we will put you in the queue, get you on the board, and we'll make you famous. Now, as usual, we have a couple of people that like to sponsor right out the gate, big time. We've got Chin Music and Darcy T, always here. And if we do a $50 or more super chat donation, I will have a scotch with you. So, and never say no to that, folks. Never say no to that. So what I've got here is a $55.56 super chat donation from Chin Music. And Chin has got a funny one tonight that has a lot of different segues for you and me. So here's to you, Chin, for starting the show off big time. Well, today's the 29th of June. Tomorrow's the 30th, and then we get to, well, July. And the end of the week is July 4th on Friday. Anyways, here's to you, Chin. Semper Fi, brother. Oh, like mother's milk. That is just smooth. I love my scotch. Now, Chin's question for the day on this zoo. And folks, be sure to thumbs up. You cannot comment unless you've been a subscriber. So hit the subscribe button for 5 minutes. But please, thumbs up, share the internet address, hit the share button. Here we go. Chin says, I challenged Facebook and I challenged Instagram, everyone there, to name a, quote, masculine Democrat in the San Antonio mayor's race. He says they couldn't pick a winner. They couldn't pick a woman. He says not one suggestion from anyone. And he showed me a picture. He sent a picture of San Antonio's finest communist mayors. He says you got Mayor Nothingberg, Little Fidel, Mama's Boy, Castro, and Puto O'Rourke. I want to make sure I pronounce that right. Puto. It's Mexican for bitch, I believe. But it's the same O'Rourke that you might remember from 2016. That's right, Beto O'Rourke, gay man extraordinaire. Anyways, nobody can look at any of these guys and call them masculine. They're all Democrats. They're all complete losers. But guess what? San Antonio is going to pick one of them to be their mayor. But you might ask, but John, what about Republicans? Once again, this is San Antonio. And it's the same problem across the entire nation. If it's a really big city, they have more Democrats than they have Republicans, because they all tend to move to big cities so they can, I guess, suck off of the social services, right? Live off of other people's wealth, which is why Chin Music called them San Antonio's finest communists. And this is a problem, folks. It is blue cities versus rural red Republican America. And the only reason I call them Republicans in red is for the R, and to differentiate them from trying to use other descriptive terms like libertarian, which is the Libertarian Party is ridiculous, and calling it conservatives. There's no really conservative party. We're just people who don't want to be messed with, people who love the Constitution, people who want to be left alone, people who love freedom and liberty. But we get outnumbered in the big cities, which is why I don't live in a big city. I live in an area with people, but they like their freedom and liberty. Anyways, this is a problem we're seeing everywhere. Right? Every city that has riots, Democrats are in charge of. New York City is about to elect another one of these emasculated fruitcakes. Only I don't know whether I should call this guy emasculated. The Zorhan Zorch butthole Muslim that is running for New York City mayor. He's only been an American citizen for 6 years. He comes from the country of Uganda. I don't remember hearing, Uman. Did George Washington migrate from Uganda to America? Or was that Abraham Lincoln? No, he came from Illinois. That's right. I remember one of the great presidents. Was it Woodrow Wilson or maybe Ike Eisenhower? He came from Uganda, right? No, he's waving me off. He's like, you're way off base. No. There are no people that love freedom that come from the country of Uganda. This guy is a screaming communist. On top of that, he's a Muslim. And what is he promising? Well, he said in the past that he wants to defund the police. Yeah. And he wants to tax white people more than everyone else. I mean, it's not just communism. It's a specific race-based communism. In other words, destroy the white race. Take all of their shit and give it to all the worthless people. We're going to have more to say about this fucking clown later. But people like Beto O'Rourke and Nothing Berg, right? And Little Fidel. All of these, that would be a Castro, I'm sure. All of these little communists, folks, they are despicable human beings. They would fuck a snake if they could hold it still. No doubt. They're a bunch of fucking shitheels, and they are the worst humans on the planet. But guess what? They are getting voted into office. Even though the country has absolutely been smothered with liberalism for the last 50 years, they haven't learned their fucking lesson. I mean, I have, you have, we all have. But they have not, and it's going to get worse. This is the channel where you come to learn what's going on so you can get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. Oh, yeah, means of self-defense. Better double up on that. and of course, having a plan. You can't have a plan unless you know what's going on. That's why we talk about what's going on, current events. And then also, you need to be mentally prepared for the area around you, the 10-mile radius. Always the advice I give, know the area you live in so you understand the people that are around you. Now, in my area, it is 60% Republican, 40% Democrat, roughly. It's not any more than that, on our favor. So even though we outnumber them dramatically here in the great state of Florida, in my area, they're still here in great numbers. If you live in a blue city like San Antonio, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Washington, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Indianapolis, it don't fucking matter, right? Atlanta, anywhere you go that's a big city, you will be outnumbered. And the odds are it's going to be 60 or 70% Democrat, 30 to 40% Republican. And you're outnumbered. You're outnumbered, but not necessarily outgunned. And that's good to know. In any event, Chin Music, thank you for one, the great donation, two, for always being here and offering your unique sense of humor, which I really appreciate and value. By even looking at these liberals and asking which one is a masculine Democrat, not emasculine, but actually masculine. None of them. Now, what's also fascinating about asking for a masculine Democrat is women, by and large, right, that are liberal women, they don't want masculine men around. They hate masculine men. Liberal women want weak, effeminate men. And weak, effeminate men, Democrats, are just like weak, liberal women. They all want to take everyone else's money and pool it together, then spend it however they want. It is as far as I'm concerned, it's a sickness, and it's a problem with morality, thinking they're entitled to other people's stuff. That's why Democrats can never put up a masculine candidate, because it would be a turnoff to the female voters. Literally. That's why it was okay for Joe Biden. And he didn't get anywhere near the votes they say he did, folks. That has come up. It is a fact. It is a demonstrable fact. It is a scientifically proven fact. It is a statistically proven fact. And it is evidentiary that he didn't get those votes. But no one is in prison. No one's being charged. No one's being tried. Attention, Pam Bondi. Attention, Kash Patel. Attention, President Donald Trump. Why aren't these fucking people being arrested? Yep. But next election, you're going to have, more than likely, it's going to be J.D. Vance, current vice president, or Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. Those two masculine Republican men versus Gavin Newsom, fat-ass prickster from Illinois. He's trying to sound like he's presidential material. If they're men, right? And Democrats have put up Hillary, then Joe Biden, and then Kamala Harris. Three emasculine characters, only one of them male, right? I was like, yeah, Joe in the middle. There we go. Anyways, thank you, Chin, for the topics. And we shall now move on to Darcy T's zoo question for the night. And Darcy T did a $50 PayPal super chat donation. Always a pleasure, because I get a single malt scotch. It gets the old gears lubricated after a week of, cooking myself in the sun. It's been rainy a lot lately. We got about 5 hours of sun today, so I took advantage of it and got a little crispy. Anyways, Darcy T, thank you for the super chat donation, $50, and down the hatch, right? Past the lips, over the teeth, over the tongue, down into the stomach. Good stuff. Darcy T says, here is my question for tonight's zoo. She wrote, have you had a chance to listen to RFK Jr.'s latest comment? He wants us all to be sporting medical wearable devices to monitor our health 24/7 within the next 4 years. It's not to spy on us. It's to make America healthy again. Yeah, right. Another sellout. Salute. Well, Darcy, I have not listened to his exact quotes and speech. I do not like RFK. I do not trust RFK. He is a Kennedy. He is a Democrat, and as far as I'm concerned, a very socialist Democrat at that. What I think he's honest about, rather than dishonest, I think he's honest about wanting America to be a healthy place. It's just, how do you go about doing that? Do you do it by leaving people the fuck alone? Or do you do it by forcing people to take government-required steps to be a healthier person? Let me start by giving you George Orwell's 1984 version of how the government makes you be healthy. What they do is they have a television in your house, on your wall. And every day they make you get up when they say get up and stand in front of that thing and exercise the way they tell you, and then eat what they say to eat. Now, where I like RFK Jr. is he's pointing out that sunscreen that's sold in America has carcinogenic materials in it. Hence, no sunscreen, right? I like that he points out these food additives, food preservatives, food coloring, food ingredients, a lot of them, many of them, are absolute shit. They either have no food value or they are dangerous, some of them poisonous. I don't know if a lot of people think about it, but you hear the word preservative. This preserves freshness. Okay, it's a preservative. It helps it increases shelf life. Well, what's it increasing shelf life against? Mold, right? Mold keeps bread from molding, things from going bad, a bacteria from developing and eating it. So how do you kill mold or bacteria? Poison. Preservatives are poison that kills mold, it kills bacteria, so they can't live and eat your food before you get a chance to eat it. In other words, preservatives are poison and toxic. And if you eat enough of them, you think it's helping you, me, you? No, it's poison. So I appreciate that he's talking about these things, right? Preservatives, food dyes, additives, chemicals, right? Fillers, bullshit. That part's good. And him, right, the government, saying food company A, B, C, food company General Mills, right? All these food companies, you will not be putting toxins in the food anymore. That's great. Then he's talking about pharmaceutical companies. Folks, the VAXXXXEs, they are not healthy. They are not safe. Evidence is continuing to mount that not only is the Jim Jones juice bad, but all of them are bad. Like if your child in school or college were to break a vial or spill liquid mercury, they would have to evacuate the class and have a hazmat crew clean it up. Because heaven forbid if anyone get any mercury on them. But instead, they wanted to put it in your Jim Jones juice and other inoculations. Literally, you can't even have it in the room with you because it's so dangerous. But we can put it in your body. You can put it in the body of an infant. Okay, so that should be coming out. So in some cases, RFK is like, this one's good and that one's bad. They're all bad in my book. Unless they don't have that ingredient and other toxic substances. So great. Telling pharmaceuticals and food companies, get that shit out of our lives. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. But when it comes to what you're talking about, Darcy T, having us wear wearable devices, and they're selling them now. They have both the watch and a ring you have on your finger, monitors blood pressure, oxygenation, yada, yada. No, it is none of anyone else's business what my health is. I want to make America healthy again. I want to make America free. The most healthy a person can be is when you're living your own life, benefiting from your own effort, and everyone else leaves you the fuck alone. That is health, my friends. Mental health. Not with some homosexual screaming in your ear, you need to take it in the ass. Or another fruitcake tranny in this year saying, we need to cut off your child's genitals. Wrong, bad. Right? Someone else screaming in your ear that we need to have children taught by drag queens. No. Or some fruitcake homosexual teachers with purple, pink, green, blue, or artificially dyed orange and red hair teaching your children about communism. No, we don't need that. That is unhealthy for us psychologically and in all other ways. In other words, yeah, I see what you're saying, Darcy T. I get it. I don't want my health monitored by the government who says, well, you put that thing on. I think that we ought to be telling you what you can eat. Oh my gosh, Mr. John, your blood pressure is a little high. You need to come take the drug. In fact, you're mandated to take the drug. You see, this is where we get to a slippery slope, where the government mandates for us, the people. Bad. Government, it goes God, man, Constitution creates government. Government has employees, and they manage corporations, which are a creature of the state. Corporations, businesses cannot exist unless the state says you exist as a corporation. You and I, we're way up here just below God. God, man, Constitution. Government doesn't tell us, me, you, what to do. Government tells businesses what to do. I'm fine with that. Those are the businesses. Without government, they wouldn't exist. Right? People are sovereign. What a world we've got, folks, where people think it's the government's job to tell us what to do. Silly communists. All right. Anyways, thank you, Darcy T. I think I'll take a pass. And RFK Jr. better watch where the fuck he steps. All righty. It's your show, Sunday Night Live. Super chat button right up there. We've also got Venmo, CashApp, PayPal down below. And we're going to keep going. Mr. Uman, we've got 300 people live right now kicking the show off. And we're going to go for 2 hours till 8 o'clock, or as long as we got more comments from you guys, like this one from Nancy Kegg. We'll keep going. So Nancy says, hey, John, it looks like you got sun this weekend. Happy early 4th of July to the Prepared Mind family. Nancy, thank you so much. You are a sweetheart and a dear of a lady. I did get some sun. I really did. I didn't think it was that crazy, but you know, those partly cloudy days, or right, you can get burnt pretty quick. And it's since I got back from my son's wedding, it's been cloudy and rainy. You know, a little sun here and there, but then I wear a sun hat. Today, no hat, and then I got a little bit crispy. It's okay. But 4th of July is coming up on Friday, folks. Friday. I've got some prognostications about Friday. I have a funny feeling about this Friday, this Independence Day, which is an actual American holiday. Pride Month, celebrating your sexuality, celebrating where you like someone else putting their genitals, is not anything to be proud of, folks. It's what you do in your own private room. But these fucking people. Independence Day, now that's a day. That's a day where the men and women of colonial America, both white and black, by the way, told the English government, the king, go fuck yourself. With the U.S. Declaration of Independence, you bet. Now, here's the funny thing. It is, a couple weeks ago, the fruitcake lunatic Democrats, They all had their bullshit protest, No King's Day. We actually already had a No King's Day. It's called Independence Day, when we celebrated, or rather declared, we will have no king, period. Right? We will govern ourselves. So there actually is a legitimate No King's Day. It's called 4th of July. Woo! Thank you, Nancy, so much. Let us continue if we shall. Mr. Uman, who's up? It's Uman's up. And he says, Chicago, cancel fireworks for the 4th of July. Get that back up there, brother. Get it up there. Again. Commies cited safety concerns. Guess they'll have to enjoy the celebration of gunfire. Yeah, the most violent city in the country, where every weekend there are numerous shootouts everywhere. Bullets zinging across streets, into houses, through houses, back out of houses. And sadly, children, the elderly, and the innocent are constantly being hit, as well as dumbass street thugs in Chicago, where, by the way, guns aren't allowed. So how the hell are they getting these guns in there? Oh, man, the law says it's a gun-free zone in Chicago. But yeah, they're going to cancel fireworks again. You want to know why? It has nothing to do with fucking safety. The communists cite safety. Communism is the most deadly political system on the planet. It makes Nazis look like amateurs. I mean, Hitler is responsible for killing 10 million people total, right? But communism is responsible for killing over 100 million people. Safety concerns my ass. Not to mention people who were tortured, jailed, and worked to death in work camps. Yeah, communism. So what they do is they hate the Constitution. They hate the Declaration of Independence. They hate celebrating independence from tyranny. Now, why would a communist not want that? I can tell you why. Because they are fucking tyrants, and they want to be tyrants, and they don't like a piece of paper existing telling them, communists, socialists, kings, tyrants, dictators, telling us what to do. They don't like that we can tell them, go fuck yourself. The Declaration of Independence, folks, is the most cited political document on the planet. Even more than the Constitution. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, it is used, the Declaration. And I'll be reading it on Friday, by the way. I think I'll do the Friday Free for All, providing that I'm not being blasted to death with mortar shells, quite literally. In any event, yeah, it's the most quoted document and reused. In fact, Ho Chi Minh. Does everyone know who Ho Chi Minh is? He is the Vietnamese communist pile of shit that took over Vietnam and antagonized France and the United States of America to engage in it was a civil war there, but we decided to stand with them and fight communism. But Ho Chi Minh used the Declaration of Independence as the structure and body, and then put in his communist propaganda into it. So it's incredibly powerful. You can use it to justify anything because it is a document that cites that we, you and I, as human beings, have a right to self-determination. They just say that, well, as human beings, we want to be communists. It doesn't happen that way. Redneck Roughneck is, speaking of Chicago, he says, they will have plenty of fireworks being thrown at the cops. No doubt. No doubt indeed. Yeah. The city's also broke as fuck, if you ask me. They've been giving away all their money to illegal immigrants. Yeah, if I remember during the Biden administration in Chicago, the residents of the city would show up, and they're still showing up, screaming and yelling at BJ, the mayor. BJ, the mayor. about them being robbed of their money. I think it's fucking hilarious in a way. It's like that's how we all feel when money goes out of our pocket and into someone else's. In any event, let us continue if we shall. Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? It is Sunday Night Live. We got a super chat button over here, and we got a super chat right here, $50 from Blue Cord Devil. And all super chats are welcome, but $50 super chats, woohoo! We do this right here. Get a shot of scotch in the old shot glass that has a 7.62 round right there in the middle of it. That's some bulletproof glass, if you ask me. So here's to you, Blue Cord Devil. Thank you, brother, very much. Down the hatch, Semper Fi to one, and all God bless America. And we got another birthday coming up. This year is also the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, and it will be the 250th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps. We're all here, and I think we're all ready to rock and roll. Whoa. Okay, I'm warmed up now. Blue Cord Devil says, I saw protesters in Florida protesting against Alligator Prison, which has become affectionately known as Alligator Alcatraz. He says, just wondering how that'll go down there. Jails filling up or gators getting fatter? Well, the pictures I've seen, I did not go and take my paddleboard to Alligator Alley. It's got a road going through the swamps. They've got a moat cut, a big square moat around 4 large buildings. And it looked to me, just from looking at it, it looks like it's anywhere from a 6 to a 10 acre plot surrounded by a moat that is going to have alligators in it. And yeah, the protesters don't like it. You know what? I saw protesters stepping out in front of cars. No, I didn't. This is Florida, folks. In the great state of Florida, if you step in front of a car and impede traffic, and in any way, any form, any fashion, threaten the driver or cause the driver to feel threatened, they have the right of self-defense and using their car to get away, even if it means running your dumb ass over. That's terrific. My right to live supersedes someone else's right to threaten and possibly beat the living shit out of me. God bless Florida. What a great fucking state. Now, not like it's perfect. We have our problems, our shortcomings, etc. We've got a lot of hungry alligators, and I think this is the way to do it. Now, fascinatingly, I saw this Blue Cord. I saw this video on X, Twitter, and it was a Cajun lady. It was a woman from Louisiana, black woman from Louisiana, and I can't do her accent. These fucking Louisianans are crazy. Anyway, she's standing next to a river, a bayou there, and she says, "I'm going to use my voice because it works better." She says, "I'm going to show you how you can tell if a body of water," and she said body of water, "if a body of water has alligators in it." Oh man, did you see this? You know what she was saying? Okay, he saw it. It's fucking funny. She goes, "Let me tell you how you can tell if a body of water has alligators in it." She says, what you do is you put your hand down in the water and you pick up a handful of water. And if your hand is wet, that means there's alligators. I thought she was going to have some kind of fucking Marie Laveau voodoo queen shit going there. No. Like if the water's wet, that means there's alligators. Yeah, so these fucking protesters, they don't like the fact that if anyone wants to try and get out, alligators be hungry. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I have a funny feeling that the prison guards at Alligator Alcatraz are going to be feeding raw meat to these alligators. We're talking hunks of chicken or turkey or whatever animal they got, bones off a cow, and try and make sure these alligators know that if anything goes in the water, it's food. See what I'm saying, man? It's like chumming for sharks, man. They're going to make sure that these alligators are primed and ready to eat. And the more alligators hear about this, and somehow animals know, they'll show up and they'll be patrolling that shit. Anyways, oh, wow. Thank you, Blue Core Devil. Pow. All right, man, take it easy on me, brother. Where are we going next with the super chats? And we got Dan Zaman Erickson checking in with a $10 super chat donation. And he says, we should have the National Guard protecting our electrical substations and water treatment plants. Hell, maybe armed citizens that live by these sites. That would be an easy target for terrorists. I agree, Dan. Who guards it? I don't know. Why guard it? Makes perfect sense. Let me take a quick break here, Dan. We're at 350 people live right now. If you're new, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, the follow button, whatever the fuck it's called. Hit the thumbs up and share the internet address, or hit the share button. Get friends, family, coworkers here so they can learn. People need to wake the fuck up about what's going on. So Dan says, yeah, we have a problem. And I agree. And we've talked about this off and on. What is the easiest target that can have the most damage and cause pain and discomfort in the United States of America? It's our substations. Our electrical substations are very vulnerable. Typically, they're in either low-income areas or rural areas, just outside of towns. And they're not protected by steel fences, block walls. They usually have a chain link fence around them with some barbed wire at the top so that people don't jump over the fence easily and cook themselves. And trust me, there's plenty of videos of people doing just that, climbing over the fence, climbing up on these very large transformers, and turning themselves into a fried chicken that is so overdone an alligator wouldn't sniff twice. Now, having said that, yeah. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how the hell you're supposed to cause problem at a substation. Take a 5-foot, 10-foot section of chain, flip it over the fence, crosses 2 wires, short circuit, shit fries. The other one is a gun, using a rifle to shoot through the transformers. They're not bulletproof. Literally, they were never meant or made to be bulletproof. They were made to transform higher voltage to lower voltage, right? Sometimes they step up to continue it down the line. Other times they step it down to run it in the neighborhoods. Transformers. Without them, and I'm not talking about the cars that turn into, robots and robots that turn into semis or jets. No, we're talking about actual equipment. We're not talking about guys that cut their dicks off. Not those transformers. Anyways, yeah. And the other one is water treatment plants. This one's a little trickier. Water treatment plants. You would have to break in, but they could definitely poison an entire population of people. Right? They could pour chemicals in there, or the water treatment plants themselves are loaded with toxic and dangerous chemicals like fluoride. RFK wants to get fluoride out of our water. Yeah, fluoride is a neurotoxin. It doesn't do anything for your teeth. The shit they put in the water doesn't do anything for your teeth. And how would your teeth know? Right? 1 part per million. How's that going to fix your teeth? Right? And then if it's a substance that's supposed to be monitored, what if someone doesn't drink any water? What good does it do? What if someone drinks gallons of water a day? They're getting overloaded. They're going to be OD'd on it. But it fucks your brain up. Fluoride is a metal. It is a toxic metal, especially the hexafluorine that is a byproduct of aluminum manufacturing that gets put into these containers and sent to water treatment plants. All these fucking terrorists would have to do is break in and kick over and turn that shit up and just poison everyone if they could. Scary stuff, as well as using other poisons. So who do we have guard the sites? National Guard. I like the idea of local citizens being allowed to shoot anyone, because this isn't just about convenience. John having light inside of his bunker. It's more than that, right? Electricity saves lives and makes our lives work. Electricity does what? It preserves our food, freezers and refrigerators. It keeps us from fucking dying of heat stroke, right? Air conditioning. It keeps us from freezing to death, right? Heaters. And if you have propane or natural gas, you still need electricity to run the fucking fans on your heaters. So you're not out of the woods on that, right? So, yeah, it does all kinds of things, as well as make our lives convenient. It helps old people who cannot take care of themselves control. It does business. Without electricity, there's no business. You see, taking out electricity is pretty important. The amount of protection around these, that was set up for a civilized society. One where we go, oh, yeah, it's some kind of electrical thing over there. It's got warning signs, danger signs. It's got a fence around it with some barbed wire. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near that. That's what intelligent, normal thinking, honest, decent people think. But fucking terrorists, Jihad Joe, right? Muammar Mudhead, these fucking clowns, right? They see that as an opportunity to make our lives horrifying. Destroy our food, destroy our water, destroy our medicine, destroy our air conditioning, destroy everything. I mean, everyone's food going bad in 3 days. Whoops. Yeah, they would like that shit. I tell you, folks. There's a couple things I think would be very good. If you don't want to spend money on labor, let me do this. To hire one security guard is $80,000 a year. You got his base salary, plus the taxes that have to be paid, the unemployment insurance, the medical, the dental, right? The how about the workman's comp, liability insurance, everything that goes with hiring an employee. That's one for one 8-hour shift, 5 days a week. Well, you actually have 7 times 3 in a week. That's 7 days a week, 3 shifts, 21, right? 21 shifts, not 5. So it's actually 4 people you have to hire to manage one of these places. That doesn't count supervisors and other fucking management, right? That's a lot of money. $80,000 per person times a minimum of 5. 80 times 5 is what? $400,000 a year to protect one substation. $400,000 a year. Why not move the fence back and build a block wall 12 feet tall all the way around the fucking thing with barbed wire at the top? What does that cost? Hey, sounds like about a $400,000 a year job. Build the walls. Oh, I love walls. They keep bad guys out. I'm sure that the Democrats would protest. This is a waste of taxpayer money. No, after 1 year, it would pay for itself because now you don't have to have guards standing around. I do like the idea of people keeping an eye on things, people having jobs. But yeah, there's ways to do this because they are extremely easy targets for terrorists. But in the meantime, National Guard, Citizens Patrol, but they have to have the same immunity police do. See someone doing something bad, you shoot them because they are putting lives in danger by trying to take out a substation. Literally, old people will die, people on medical equipment will die, food will go bad, people will be poisoned by eating bad food. Yeah, not to mention people dying from heat stroke or freezing to death. I like that plan, big man, the Dan. Thank you, sir. Who's up next? Mr. Uman. We've got bump. Who's there? We got Boomer 21 with a Canadian $20 super chat, and he says, hey, major population centers throughout the West are all majority liberal, and the reason is simple. They're the first place that third world immigrants inhabit in order to get the free stuff. Yes, sir, you nailed it. Pow! Drove that nail all the way down one swing. Yeah. Cities, high-density population centers have a high density of wealth as well. Businesses, right? Banking, financing, housing is very compact, tight, very expensive, very valuable. And these foreigners come in. Not to mention freeloaders, because we got freeloaders in Canada, freeloaders in Mexico, freeloaders in America, freeloaders in Europe. They're like, well, I can't afford or won't afford to take care of myself, so I'm going to go to some government service. Try and get government health care, try and get government vision, government dental, government mental health. Oh, there's a lot of that, right? Government regular health, right? Just need to take care of myself. I got to take care of my kids. Someone else needs to pay for my kids, right? All that shit. So, yeah. But the illegal immigrants especially got their handout. They show up with their fucking handout. 100 years ago, hell, even 50 years ago, foreigners showed up. They immigrated lawfully. They went through all the trouble and process. A lot of times they had to spend every penny they had from the country they came from to afford the boat or plane ticket to get here, to start the process where they would have the opportunity, the freedom and liberty to pursue their own personal wealth and independence. Today, no, that's not what it's about. Today, it's showing up to get all the free shit you can. That's why it's accelerating and accelerating and accelerating. And these fucking Muslims are the worst. They're the absolute worst because guess what? The Quran tells them to lie and fool anyone who is a non-Muslim. Lie to them until you're strong enough and there's enough of you to fight them. Their own fucking words, people. Their own books tell us. Whether you're dealing with the Quran or the Talmud, it doesn't matter. You find out that these fucking people from the Middle East are shit. They're absolute shit. They hate you. They think they're superior to you. They think that God loves them more than you. They're sick people, sick in the fucking heads. Thank you, Boomer, very much. Yeah. Third world immigrants. If they were so valuable, if diversity is our strength, I hate these left-wing fucking sales pitches. If they're really that good, why are their countries third world and shitholes in the first place? If they're such hard workers, if they're so fucking smart, if they're such good people, why are their countries poor, run down, dilapidated, and full of every crime known to man? And then all they do is fuck each other and make more scum. It is just an awful, awful problem that humanity has faced for millennia. Millennium, thousands of years. They don't get any better because they don't get any smarter. I really believe that it is in more northern or southern climates where the odds of a civilization will be better. And I'll tell you why. Because stupid gets killed very easily in cold climates and, shall we say, dangerous climates. So Europe, Japan, North America. There are some indigenous peoples that are very primitive, and then other peoples developed fascinating cultures, traditions, and technology because they had to in order to survive. They had to in order to survive. The native Inuits, Eskimos, or the Aboriginal Australians, they didn't really have a whole lot of technology, but they managed to survive. But because it was so hard, they didn't overpopulate. But along the equator, the people that live along the equator, well, they have pretty comfortable weather. Consequently, right, it's easier to live, so it's easier to overpopulate without developing either an intelligent survival strategy or the technology that makes living more comfortable. Things like the wheel, houses that aren't made out of shit or mud bricks. See what I'm saying? In any event, let us continue. Mr. Uman, where are we rolling next? We have Chelsea Weerung and husband, of course, with a $49.99 super chat donation. And she says, we owe you a shot for missing last week. I tell you what, just for everyone who showed up late, and we're at 400 people live now. If you got a question, comment, prediction, you want to talk about something, even tell a joke, I don't care. Super chat donation, buttons up here, gets you on the screen here, and $50 or more, and $49.99 counts, buys me a shot of single malt Scotch whiskey, which keeps the brain well lubricated and the jaw going, which is an ideal broadcaster's condition, right? Rush Limbaugh used to smoke a cigar during the show. Well, I gave up cigars, I gave up cigars, but I haven't given up my Scotch. Years ago, it was decades ago. I think probably 30 years ago, I remember the news saying, because they were coming down on salt and cholesterol and eggs and steak, and they were coming down on everything. And then they said, wine, a glass of wine, one wine a day is good for your heart. The alcohol's good. They're like, alcohol kind of thins your blood and helps your heart and this and that and the other. And they're like, yeah. So if one drink, and then they said, well, one drink of anything, one beer, one Scotch, one bourbon, one Scotch, one beer, as our good friend George Thorogood is saying. So, hey, look, if one is better, 7, 8, 9, or 10 is even better yet. I'm probably the healthiest man alive. All right. Chelsea, you guys are good. When you show up and you've got your stuff, that's great. Beautiful stuff. Thank you, guys. Hope you have a great weekend, have had a great weekend and a great week coming up as we head into the 4th of July weekend. I figure I should probably come out, since Chelsea and husband did a super chat without a question. I have a prognostication. I believe that we are going to suffer, more than likely, a terror attack. I think we got one coming. I really do. I think 4th of July would be an opportune time. Americans are busy drinking, barbecuing, having a good time. 4th of July, Independence Day, is a celebration that we all love because, well, we get to blow shit up with fireworks. Lots of noise and smoke and sparkles. And I think that the bad guys can take advantage of that. If they start shooting, pulling a Chicago on the world, who would know the difference between that and all the fireworks going off? That's what I think. I think there's a good chance these pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hezbollah, pro-Iranian, Antifa, BLM types, there's nothing that they would like more than to get out there and really start hurting people. I really think so. They want America to fall. They want America, our country, to fail. They do. Now, what's interesting is all those protests that were going on. Mr. Uman, you remember the No Kings protest? Well, they were throwing rocks and bricks. They were lighting off fireworks and throwing explosive mortars at cops. They were setting buildings on fire. It was kind of like a mostly peaceful protest. Well, it was discovered that they were being funded by communists. That's right. Communists are funding that. American communists, anti-American American communists, right? People that hate this country. People who are Chinese, people who are Israeli, people who are European, people who are Muslim. They're funding this literally with money directly. But as soon as they start getting investigated, guess what? The money dried up. And these protesters apparently who were getting anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 a day to be, and depending on their ability to be, extremely violent. Extremely violent. Well, that money dried up, and all of a sudden, the protest stopped. But what happens when a protest isn't a protest and it's literally a terror attack? No funding needed, just the promise of 72 virgins in heaven if you make it there as a Muslim. So martyr yourself, and God will give you 72 women to sexually take advantage of against their will. That sounds like a great God to worship, doesn't it? The fuck is wrong with these people? In any event, let us continue if we shall, huh? We got Redneck Roughneck. And he says, Trump said he was glad they were marching for no kings because he was worried a king was trying to replace him. Yeah, Trump did a fantastic job of trolling them. Now what I want him to do is free Tina Peters, the Blue Star mom who was arrested and imprisoned for exposing election fraud in 2020. Meanwhile, those who have committed election fraud, not just in Colorado, but in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Philly, everywhere in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, no one's in jail. Did I say Georgia, Fulton County, Atlanta? Yeah. Anyways, I want some fucking people arrested. No king or not. I want some people arrested. Good golly. Okay. Mr. Uman, I explained the shot rule to Casey. Oh, okay, cool. So Casey Lowry did a $20 super chat, and he says, take a shot, sir. He says, do you have any info on the Alligator Detention Center? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Semper Fi. You said that part right, Casey. Well, I tell you what, you did a $20 super chat. So I'm going to do a half a shot. I'm having some fun here. Never done this, and I'm not going to make it a practice, damn it. One time and one time only, right? I'm like that crazy dad. No, wait. Hey, you're shaking your head at me, oh man. Did I do this wrong? Yeah, he's shaking it. Do you want to come on and explain to me?
You're opening up a box of alligators, my friend.
Box of alligators? Okay. The rule is don't take advantage of a man who's half looped and talking about shit hitting the fan. Not a good plan. But Casey, I will address your question. Do I have any information on Alligator Detention Center? The affectionate nickname is Alligator Alcatraz. It's a detention facility that is being built in the on, or near the Everglades. Huge swaths of the state of Florida are literally uninhabitable swamp. Uninhabitable swamp. Now, on the West Coast, which is closer to where I'm at, running from Pensacola all the way down and around to, I think, Naples down south. And on the East Coast, from Miami, which is at the southern tip almost, all the way up, right? They've got these things called intercoastal waterways. In other words, they were swamps. So what they did in Florida was dredge them out. They took sand out of the marsh, piled it up, and made land. And they paved it and put sidewalks, built houses and buildings. And so they're inhabitable. And there are areas where there's actually hills in this state. Like Mount Dora, it's not really like a mountain. It's just a higher hill than the others. But there's lots of hills. But there's still vast amounts of area in the state of Florida that were never dredged out, never made habitable. The coast were, they wanted to put people on the coast because, it's the beach. But the Everglades, there's a lot of national parks or state parks here. So let's do something with them, right? We're not trying to build up the entire coastline like they did already, 50, 60, 70 years ago, trying to make this a vacation destination or a retirement zone because of the excellent climate. In fact, the climate's horrible. It's a terrible state. Everyone stay the fuck out of it. But Alligator Detention Center, they must have had this plan for some time. Because once it went public, Casey, once it went public, it was already in motion. It's already in motion. So I don't know how long till it's open, but apparently it's a real thing. At first, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a fucking meme, right? This is how we're going to take care of these people. We're going to put them in a detention facility. But I looked at this picture, and it's not that big. Like I said, it looks to be, I don't know, 6 to 10 acres, something like that. An acre being 200 feet by 200 feet, approximately. Uman says it's opening this Tuesday. So if we just started hearing about it several weeks ago, they were planning on this for quite some time. And the reason I'm going to say this is as a general contractor and developer, I used to develop real estate parcels, etc. There's a great deal that goes into planning. A great deal that goes into planning. You've got to have an idea of what you're going to do. You have to buy the property. It has to be zoned already, or you have to go into zoning and have it rezoned. And you have to explain the purpose of the rezoning. What are you going to do with this land? Why do you need to rezone it? Okay, so then you have to, if it's for a government installation, you have to go through what's known as NEPA, National Environmental Protection Act requirements. The environmental impacts on a national level. States have their own state EPA. So you have CEQA, State Environmental Quality Assessment, blah, 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 right? You have all this bullshit impact studies that have to be done. That doesn't mean they can't be fast-tracked, but also with public lands, when they have to be taken for other purposes than wildlife to be developed, you have to have public comment periods. You see where I'm going with this shit? This is not something you just go, you know what? Fuck it. Let's pile up some dirt and shit over here, dig out some stuff for some alligators, and put a road to it. This takes a lot of time. Did they start this shit back when Trump was president the first time? Possibly. If they did, why didn't Biden shut it down? VLGL says the site was developed in the 60s and 70s. Fascinating. That being the case, a lot of this stuff could have been done ahead of time. But if it was not initiated, if it was not started, they would have to redo and bring everything up to current code. Okay, so initially, environmental studies, and the EPA wasn't started until Richard Milhouse Nixon, right? President Nixon. I'm not a crook. That guy. Richard Nixon. That was a good one. Oh, man. I'm not a crook. Okay, that guy started the EPA. So that had been in the 70s. So the books then were thin. And because government's government and it sucks ass, regulations, regulatory authority, regulatory red tape bullshit gets thicker and thicker, right? So they would have to be updated. Unless in the 60s and 70s, they decided to build this facility. And it was executed. In other words, it was built 100%. It was all done. All they have to do is make sure the fence doesn't have holes in it and that the alligators are well stocked. And they just need to flip the light switch on. But still, you're changing. But if it was a prison back then, okay, it's fine. Land use is approved. If it was done for some other reason, military shots, a military facility, something like that, right? It would be all set. Military training, who knows? I don't know for sure. But I do know it is not an easy thing to open a prison. It's not an easy thing to change land use. It's not an easy thing to even upgrade and start using. Whereas before they would have said, this was done for the purpose of a wildlife study. Well, we're going to have one truck rolling down the road once a day and then one truck leaving when they go home. Now you're going to have trucks going in and out, lots of employees, a lot of land use. What is the land impact? So the only point of this is I understand development and I understand how government works. And so this to me is rather interesting and suspicious and entertaining as well. Not a bad, authentic fuck'em H. Lynn. Alligator prison will only hold 1,000 people. What's the good of that? Well, that's where we're going to go next. Who would you want to put in Alligator Alcatraz? The worst of the worst, right? If you can just take Juan Valdez, put him on a fucking plane and fly him back to Colombia and say, go pick coffee beans with your fucking donkey down there and stay out of our country. No problem. But if you have somebody that you don't know what their real name is, you don't know what country they're from, or you capture some asshole like that Iranian, follow me here, that Iranian sniper who had an Iranian military ID card on him that was arrested. You capture someone like that, do you really want to just send him home? He's going to have intel. He's going to be able to tell Hezbollah and the Iranian government. He's going to be the Ayatollah Khomeini's best butt buddy and goat fucker for a month as he explains to him how things work in America, how many Iranians there were, how good, how tight-knit the cells were, et cetera, right? It's going to be a good source. You don't want to send someone like that back to their country because they have dangerous information. Or if you send them back to their country, they're just going to jump on a canoe or a boat or a plane and try and sneak back in again. They're too dangerous. And if they're criminals, murderers, rapists, terrorists, you don't want to let them go. They need to be dealt with. They need to be held accountable for their crimes. By the way, we're well over 400 people live right now. I want everyone to stop. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. You can't even comment if you're not a subscriber, even in the regular comments. If you want to comment, you got to be a subscriber for 5 minutes minimum. If you want to be on the screen here like Sergeant Randy Semper Fi, brother. He says, 1st Alligator Recon Battalion, hoorah! I love it, man. It's fucking great. We barked like fucking dogs when I was a jarhead. Anyway, Sergeant Randy Semper Fi, brother. Yep, Alligator Recon. Oh, fuck. I tell you, man. I haven't said this in a while, but, when I was in Pendleton, I was on Del Mar. Spent a lot of time with Force Recon there in 1988, 89. Those are some bad motherfuckers and crazy, batshit fucking crazy Marines. They loved shit like that. Fucking nothing gave them a bigger heart on than to be given a fucking mission that was impossible. All right. Enough of that shit. So this Alligator Alcatraz, Alligator Prison, right? Recon Alligator Prison. The deal with that. But let me finish. Share the internet address, folks. Share. So we get more of our brothers and sisters on here to wake up. Some people are just now waking up. Other people are awake and they don't know what to do. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. Get it together. No one's going to save your ass if they're busy saving their own. And if, let's just say, Atlanta's burning, nobody's coming from Jacksonville or Charlotte or Dallas. They're not going to go into that fucking melee. They're going to be worried and wondering whether their city's going to be next. Right? I know that people will help, but I'm telling you, crazy world, folks. The only way to be sure is if you do it yourself, right? You want something done right? Do it yourself. Get prepared. Thepreparedmind.club is your store. We try and cover all those areas: food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, self-defense, also solar panels, battery backup, communications equipment. It's all civilian stuff, mostly. But you can at least get links to go find out where to get this stuff. Okay, man, who's up next? We've got Robin G checking in with a $50. Whoa. super chat. It looks like I'm not going to make it alive through this show, sober, which is just fine. Like I said, if a glass of wine is good for the heart, well, imagine how good for the soul all this scotch is. Quite interesting. Robin has been a great participant as of late, with great questions, comments, and being very, shall we say, informative, provocative, and entertaining all at the same time. The Glenlivet. There is no substitute unless you like the Glenfiddich or Lafrogue or Bacallan. Anyways, Robin says, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, said extremists are expressing interest online in using DNA modification to develop biological weapons. Using artificial intelligence to aid in developing these new agents and using drones to deliver these new threats. We now have to look up, down, and all around us. Yeah, one of the things that is going to be probably beneficial for you and I, all of us, Robin, is that extremists aren't always intelligentists. Right? Just because they want to kill everyone doesn't mean they're going to have the mental faculties to get there. But yes, using, as you point to right here, artificial intelligence to develop this, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a molecular biological genius. You need artificial intelligence. Now, there's many more holdups here. You need a facility to do this, which means you need a lot of money. It needs to be a secure facility. And if you don't have a storefront business, people are going to wonder what the fuck you're doing there if you're ordering tools, equipment, supplies to run a DNA modification facility, a bioweapons research lab. We're going to ask questions. Why do you want this agent? Why do you want that equipment? Right? And just because you buy the equipment and you buy the let's just say raw ingredients and you have the facility and you have some people willing to work there, they still need to be trained. Being an extremist doesn't just make you qualified to run one of these. And watching a YouTube video to fix your brakes on your 1986 Subaru, I'm talking to you liberal extremist dumb fucks, watching a YouTube video on how to fix the brakes on your Subaru is not the same as how to penetrate the nucleus of a cell and extract the DNA and insert a new weaponized version of DNA. You know, it's very difficult. That said, they may be expressing interest online. If they discover how expensive it is, how difficult it is, and as soon as they try doing it, odds are they're going to get fucking caught. Would it be easier to take that money and instead of spending it and investing it and then using all the time to develop your own biological weapon, which you have to test? To test it on animals? You know, test it on other dumbass extremists and see if it kills them or just makes them sick or they start growing fucking arms out the side of their head, right? Would it be more advisable as an extremist to go to, say, China or maybe Ukraine, which has, 29 bioweapons research facilities? I think that's where I would probably focus my attention, Robin, is anyone wanting and trying to do that. And then bringing it back over to America, smuggling it in. And what have we had in the last couple of months? We've had several Chinese students caught bringing in biologically manipulated I think they're funguses or molds that would kill and destroy crops here, right? That's biological warfare to attack our food supply system. But that's what I think these extremists could do. They just need the money to buy them. All you got to do is bribe one asshole who has access to it. He hands it to you with a fucking envelope on the instructions on what to do with it. Yeah, you put it in a drone, fly it up, right? Somehow cause it to open up and burst in the air. And now you have an aerosolized biological agent that can possibly hurt people, kill people, etc. Yeah, it is becoming a scarier world, Robin, especially with drone technology, which I found fascinating and entertaining when it first came out. And then it became worrisome. And now we've seen how it is truly not just weaponized, but militarized. In Ukraine, they've shown us how you can weaponize a drone to attack the enemy and blow them to fucking pieces. So some heartless, gutless, hopeless coward with some joysticks can kill human beings. And I've said for years and years, if we have that problem in America, if we are getting drone attacked in America, whoever is doing that, they better make their peace with God and pray they don't ever fucking get caught. Because the torture that person needs to suffer is not going to be great enough in order to deter others from thinking that's how warfare is done. Fucking hate these cowards. If you're not going to go out in the field and either shoot or stab me to death, you're a fucking coward. Anyways, war is supposed to be very personal, folks. It's supposed to be personal. It's supposed to be personal. You're supposed to be able to look your enemy in the eye, and they look you in the eye, and then you guys kill each other like real men. All right. And I'm not fucking kidding. This hiding behind drones is bullshit. In any event, that's the world we got, though. And we have a world full of cowards in Washington, D.C., and in Moscow, and in Kiev, and in London, and in Brussels, and in Beijing. And speaking of Beijing and drones, they have drone, you can call it an army or an air force, of thousands of drones. And now they have anti-drone technology that just uses massive amounts of microwave radiation just to cook them right out of the air. Just a good blast, fry them, they fall out of the air. So they're going to have to make hardened drones that are impervious to that technology. And then who knows what technology will come next. Maybe a full spectrum laser that cooks all of their sensors so that they're lost. Who the fuck knows where this is going? But it's spy versus spy. And we have nothing but megalomaniac psychopaths in charge, taking advantage of whatever technology is available. You know, as discussed in the past, good old-fashioned warfare. You want to own a piece of property? You better put some fucking boots on it. All right, man, who's up next? We got lots of stuff going on. Hey, we got Bob Hunter with a 5-pound note. Bob is a Scotsman. And my favorite whiskey in the whole world, Bob, as you know, is Scotch. Scotch whiskey from your country, my man. If it doesn't taste like it's got peat dirt in it, it ain't whiskey. All right. He says, hey, John, long time since I talked. No shit, Bob. I was wondering if some crazed fucking Muslim has your head on the fucking wall mounted. He says, but I miss you, John, and happy to see you still have balls of steel. I respect you and love you, my dear friend. And I'll tell you what, brother. We in America love our brethren around the world. Up in Canada, we love them. Down in Australia, we love them. Up in Scotland and Ireland, oh, you guys. And even our brothers in jolly old England, yes. I don't know about the Kiwis in New Zealand. Actually, I love those guys too. They don't like guns in New Zealand. I've never met a Kiwi that was like all pro-gun. But they're always good guys. But why are they so anti-fucking gun? I don't get it. I don't get it. All the bad guys have guns. I think I should have one too to protect myself from the bad guys. In any event, Bob, I'm glad you're still alive. I'm glad you sound well. And I'm glad you checked in. And take back Scotland. That is your country. The fucking Scots have fought off everybody for thousands of years. From fighting the fucking English and the fucking Picts, making sure the Irish stay across the fucking channel, to keeping the fucking Romans out. Oh, yeah. The Romans built Hadrian's Wall, separating England from Scotland, because they couldn't go any further north. And they wanted to protect themselves from the Scots because they're just fucking awesome. And then, it's funny. I spent my whole life learning English. And if you ever speak to a Scotsman, you got to love them. I was, and sense of humor. The fucking Scots have senses of humor like you can't believe. Good people, folks. And it's terrible that they're being overrun by fucking foreigners. Same with Ireland. The Irish love to fight and drink, as well as use, maybe their secret weapon in Ireland will be Irish Spring soap. If they take an Irish Spring bar of soap to all those smelly fucking immigrants, it may drive them crazy and they'll leave on their own. In any event, I have zero respect for these immigrants, folks. Zero. Because they have zero respect for the people and the countries and the laws of the countries into which they have migrated under false pretenses at that. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Bob. And he does another £2 super chat donation. Can we get that back up there? And he said, what did Bob say? Ooh, man, I think is dipping into his bottle of whiskey as well. Anyways, he said they got us locked down, but we are free. They are locking us down. I think you guys are getting very close over there, Bob. Very close to your declaration moment. Break it out. Break out the Declaration of Independence. Get the fucking Magna Carta out. Translate it into some English that sounds more modern than what it was written in. But yeah, the Magna Carta was a document that was forced onto King John to sign because he was being an asshole. And if the governments of the UK, folks, Wales, Ireland, England, and Scotland, if they aren't a bunch of tyrants along the lines of name it, right? The sheriff of fucking Nottingham, then no one is. In Germany, they're giving the UK a run for its money. Thousands of people a day are being raided by the police, showing up at their house, let us in, and then threatening people, writing citations, or arresting them for criticizing the government on social media. If I can't say it, that's awful. Now, folks, English history, Scottish history. The Scots were not allowed to own weapons because the English were afraid that they would revolt. And ultimately, once they were disarmed and then the Scots were attacked by the fucking English, then you can go back to the Longshanks, that time period if you wish. Once you're without weapons, they'll put whatever law they want on top of you and try and destroy you, your people, your culture, your traditions, your history, your identity. And now they're trying to lock people down and trying to stop free speech. So you can't even say the words, much less take action. I think you guys are long past due, Bob. I wish I knew you in person, brother, and sit down and have a favorite scotch. Oh, that's a beautiful calico you got there, Bob. He did a 10 pound super chat. He says, my cat sends her love. Lots of X's, and X's. I appreciate that, man. Give that putty tat a good pat on the head, scratch behind the ear, little rub there on the chest. They love that shit. And of course, at the back by the tail there, they love that crap. I've always loved cats. They crack me the fuck up. Dogs too. Animals are good for the soul. Anyways, oh, by the way, Muslims do not like dogs. They hate pigs because, pigs are unclean. So women in France, Germany, and of course the United Kingdom are now getting pet pigs. Either the small pygmies, even the full size, like a Hampshire or a Duroc. These big motherfucking pigs. I get that. If I said I haven't talked about pigs breeds in a long time, but they're walking their pigs. But dogs, just having a dog alone offends these fucking Muslims. Fuck them, I tell you. All right, Mr. Uman, let us continue if we shall. Thank you again, Bob. And it's Chelsea and husband back again. Woo! With another $49.99 super chat. And good golly. By the way, we're almost at the 90-minute mark on this Sunday night live show. And that means another scotch for me. And I really am partial to the Glenlivet. I love the Glenfiddich as well, but I think the past year I've really just been into the Glenlivet. I'm not a Macallan fan. I think that it's overpriced. Glenfarclas, Lafrogue are good, but everyone has their favorite. Not a Dewar's fan, but Chelsea and husband, thank you so much. I tell you, mother's milk. I got to keep both feet on the floor tonight when I'm sleeping to keep the room from spinning. I know it's coming. Chelsea says, God bless America. Indeed, God bless America and the free world. Thank you for all you, Uman, and the Prepared Mother do every week. Topic of your choice. Topic of your choice. Okay, here we go. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, it's like the U.S. Army, but in Israel, they have announced that the founding member of Hamas has been eliminated, killed, exterminated, removed, flattened, done, right? And he's also the mastermind behind the October 7th massacre. They're saying they've killed this guy. His name was Hacham. That's really his name. I wasn't clearing my throat. Here, I mean, that's how Americans clear their throat. Hacham is his name. Hacham Muhammad Isa al-Isa. That's who this clown was. And now my throat is exceptionally clear. They say that they've killed this guy. I saw a picture of him. You know what he looks like? This guy, the founding member of Hamas. He must be a founding member. He must be old as fuck. Because I thought Yasser Arafat was one of the founding members and leaders. But maybe it's something different. In any event, this guy is killed. Dead. But the fascinating thing for me was when I saw his picture, you know what he looked like to me? He looked like a Jew. He looked like a caricature, a typical Middle Eastern Jewish type guy. You know, the balding hair and weird hair and a big giant nose. And he just looked like these fucking people all look the same. And I'm not being a racist. They all have the same, let's be scientific so I don't sound like a fucking bigot. They all have the same phenotypes. The ears, the nose, the chin, the forehead, the fucking eyes. What? The only difference between them is what ridiculous religion they've chosen to accept as their own. That's it. That is the defining characteristic between Palestinians and these Israelis now. Is, do you want to be a Muslim or do you want to be a Talmudic Jew? That's it. Why are we getting involved in this ridiculous shit? Oh, yeah, they're just going to kill each other. I mean, someone's got to win. That's the best way to have peace, is for one side to win. And both of them, though, want genocide. They want to wipe the other side completely off the fucking planet. So here's my question. Which one would we rather have wiped off the planet? Right? It's not my choice, not my decision. It's not my fucking circus, and they aren't my monkeys. Right? I know that Muslims want to kill you, me, and all of America and Europe and all people, unless you're a Muslim. They want to kill you off. And if you read the Talmud, you'll find out that they aren't a whole lot better. They want us bred out, destroyed as a race, as a culture, as a country, and they want to prove to themselves that they're superior intellectually by screwing us all over and destroying us, by using all manner of propaganda and guilt and psychological crap and warfare. It's bullshit. Oh, thank you, Corsair. Yes, Yasser Arafat was the leader of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Thank you for setting me straight on that, Corsair. It's been a while since I've heard the PLO mentioned. So Hamas is a different organization, just operating from basically the same turf. There's been no peace over there. No peace in the Middle East because of this Israel situation. You know what was nice is before the Balfour Declaration was passed, which was an British document that said European Jews, Sephardic and Ashkenazi Jews, can go to this place that's now called Israel and reclaim it as their own property. And since then, we've had nothing but fucking trouble. Since then, we've had nothing but terrorism, murder, military conquest, and fucking hatred. Prior to that, you know who gave a shit about the Middle East? Nobody. Countries that had oil just said, hey, we got oil and camels. How about if you guys buy our oil and we'll trade our camels in for cars? Right? And now some of these nations like the city of Dubai. Have you seen the city of Dubai? Incredible. Incredibly wealthy, sophisticated. They're like, let's leave all that stupid shit behind and live la vida loca. Yeah, that sounds a little bit intelligent versus let's go kill somebody because they look like us, but we don't like their religion. Dumb fucks. All right, Mr. Ooman, who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? What have we got to talk about? It's Big Dan the Man. Erickson, he checks in with a $5 super chat. And he says the police need drones that spray pepper spray for rowdy crowd control. I 100% agree. 100%. They don't have to be expensive drones either. They don't. But here's the kicker. If the police have drones that fly within 50 feet above their heads, I suspect that they would throw cables and chains and rope into the propellers in an effort to bring them down. So they would have to have shrouded propellers, which I think they have now. It's not a difficult thing to do, shrouded. And then on the bottom, it would have to have some kind of a screen, not so dense that it stops the air from getting blown down, which it needs for elevation, but rather to stop any missiles or projectiles from going up into and damaging the blades. Now, having said all that, right, the spy versus spy, counter drone action stuff, it's a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. It's a marvelous fucking idea. They should have a canister that doesn't put out a fine aerosol mist. No. Fuck the aerosol mist. I want droplets, Dan. I want it to spew out droplets like a fucking shower. And anybody that's ever been hit with CS gas knows that shit, like, pfft, droplets or not, turns into a nasty, filthy fog. I remember when I had my gas mask on, last time I did a gas mask, right? It didn't seal right because Marine Corps. Gas mask. I remember seeing a little cloud float between my eyeball and the gas mask. It snuck in and just like this this vapor stream like a ghost, just drifted by my eyes. And I thought, I'm screwed. But discipline. Now back to your comment, Dan. Yes, if they flew over and they had, you take a canister of CS gas or pepper spray, whatever, right? And you just put it on, lock it on, give it a twist, launch the drone. It goes over and it sprays the living shit out of everyone with droplets. I don't want someone to get just a little bit. I want them to have a really good taste. Literal. And then fly it back and put another can on, fly that fucking drone over and just nail them and nail them and nail them. Now, the other thing that I think we should be doing with regards to crowd control, protesting with a sign and chanting, hell no, we won't go. We don't want to go to war. Whatever their thing, they're fine, protest. But standing in the street, shutting down a street is a crime. You're impeding traffic, you're impeding commerce, you're risking people's lives, and you're causing the police to have a police action. You're done. Illegal. You want to have a big protest, go to a fucking park, get a permit to control the park. All the kids will have to stay home that day, but you've got a permit, city gets some money, and the police are there, whatever. But I also think the water cannon with the dye, the purple dye, the green dye, the blue dye, pick a fucking color, that does not wash off of the skin. It's a permanent type dye. So it takes days and days and days. And if you get hit with that, guess what? That means you were engaged in unlawful activity, an unlawful gathering, a criminal gathering, a riot where mayhem was going on. And if you're seen by anybody, you should be arrested. Not just the police. Like, I get a bounty. I get $100 bounty if I catch some fucking liberal who's got half his face is purple. It's like, you were there. Bam, you're on the ground. I'm arresting you. I've got a bounty. Right? Yeah. Let's make being a criminal painful and difficult again. Instead of rewarding them with fucking money that came from you, Dan, and you out there and me by stealing our fucking taxes and then giving that money to NGOs who then fund these protests where they commit crimes trying to destroy our country. It needs to come to an end. It really does. Trump needs to step it up. He really does. And hopefully it happens. Dan, thank you, sir, very much. Ooh, man, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? And we've got Boomer21. He's back out of Canada with another $20 super chat. And he says, our self-induced housing crisis, which became worse after COVID, resulted in unaffordable housing and the end of public building single standing homes. In America, we call them a single family home. Also, no longer can rent be based on what you clear per week. So up there, they have a form of rent control, I think is what Boomer is alluding to. Based on what you clear, based on what you make after taxes, what you clear. Yeah, the influx of illegals into America has caused some serious problems. Now, that said, many rural areas, small towns that have been hammered by economic conditions, meaning businesses were destroyed and shut down and closed as a result of COVID and Washington, D.C. policy, which has sent businesses offshore to China, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Mexico, Colombia, name it. Right? Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. Right? They're over there doing work for half of what you would do it. And all they have to do is pay for a little bit of shipping to get it back here. And these corporations make big money. Yeah. There's cities in America, mostly rural and small, that are just falling and failing. They can't give the real estate away hardly. But then, as stated earlier, in Canada, they show up for what? Into the big cities where they get all the free shit they want. So in those areas, and perhaps Canada is, well, it can't be any different than us, right? Big cities, very, very socialist. The housing prices through the fucking roof. Now here in America, down in Florida, it is a desirable location in which to relocate if you're being chased out of your fucking house up north by either criminal immigrants or criminal government, which is violating their constitutional rights on a daily fucking basis without consequence or care. Yeah. So whether you buy or rent, you're getting screwed, regardless of what you clear per week here. Fuck, look, I know I'm an immigrant into Florida, but so far I've been pretty welcomed because I didn't bring stupid California fucking ideas here. No, my idea was to come here to live free and to help this state live free and protect America. Anyways, that said, right, housing is so expensive here that Floridians are having to leave and go north. A neighbor of mine 2 years ago left to go back up to Ohio, where it's not real free, but I think they're going to one of these small towns like Lima, lost in middle America. They're going to, where these small towns where housing is cheap because it got so damn expensive down here. In any event, I'm in it for freedom, not for money. So here I am. Anyways, Boomer, thank you. And I'm glad you're here, man, letting everyone know that, it's not Shangri-La north of the border, that we're all suffering different levels, right, of all the same problems. We're all in this together as patriots, whether you're an American or a Canadian or a Mexican even. Fucking Mexicans are getting sick and tired of their fucking government, the cartels, the bullshit, the illegals. Mexicans are not happy with the illegals trying to get into their country from other parts of the world. It's making their property more expensive and food more expensive. Everything's getting more expensive because they're taxing the system. I tell you, wild business. Okay, Mr. Uman. Hey, we got CashApp from Mike L, huh? And nothing popped up on my CashApp thing, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. Sir, can electrify the substations to fry those terrorists like crispy bacon? It can be done. It will fry your terrorists like bacon. I'll tell you what. A substation will, but it's not like it's a weapon. I mean, there's enough electricity there that goes through a substation that could kill 1 million people in less than a minute. And it wouldn't hurt the substation a bit. But that's why they want to use guns to do it. Right? So if, I said, look, we need a block wall around it so that you can't lob something at the lines like cables or chains and try and short circuit things, nor get an easy shot and penetrate the transformers, drain off their oil, and cause them to malfunction. Especially if they were to do something like this, Mike, to not just one substation, but a series of substations in an area that could take out an entire geographic grid or the eastern or western seaboard, right? Pretty tricky stuff. It's a very dicey situation. Yeah. But how do it sounds like what you're talking about is these substations can be weaponized. And that's where we get into a little bit of tricky business, if you ask me. By the way, folks, we're over 450 people live. Thank you. Be sure and send that internet address, share it, hit the share button, the like button, the thumbs up button. Be sure you're a subscriber, etc. And now Northern Pike is in here. And we got Northern Pike with a $10 super chat. He says, sir, since it electrified the substation to fry like crispy bacon, it can be done. It will fry like bacon. Can smell good. Satire humor. That's some mix mash English in there. Good deal. Yeah. Bacon smells good, and the smell of bacon scares off terrorists. But how could you weaponize a substation in order to help protect it from people? That's, again, someone just driving up and looking at one. Well, you could say they're casing the place with the intent to do something harmful, but you don't know that. And is just looking at something with the intent to do harm, is that a capital crime? Meaning, can they get the death penalty? Because if you've got electric cables on the road to cook them in their car if they drive too close, that's a little questionable, right? I definitely think there needs to be a huge buffer zone between the facility itself, whatever protective layer is there, and then how close civilians are allowed to get. And then we have this. Let's just say Duke Energy owns a substation. So some terrorists steal a Duke Energy truck and they drive to it to gain access without getting, cooked, fried, shocked, or shot. Right? It's still a vulnerable situation. And so I think it's going to continue to be something we need to be concerned about, and that some sort of corrective action needs to be taken. That's all I can say about it, is something needs to be done, yes, because it's something that we rely on and something that we are very vulnerable with. Mr. Uman, where are we rolling next? Dan the Man Erickson, aha, with a $10 super chat. And he's got the solution. Here it is. How about remote control drones protecting our substations? Video monitoring and drones on site. As stated, I'm not a big fan of using drones in warfare. But for the purpose of killing terrorists, how about a big sign that says, do not trespass or you will be attacked by a drone? Okay. Right? But I still don't know why we don't have fences, security fences, gates to stop people from getting close enough and block walls. And if you're dumb enough, well, you're incapable of reading the language. Do not trespass. Drone surveillance, as Dan says, weaponized drone surveillance. And I know this sounds a little redundant, but drone number 1 drops tear gas on them just for pulling up to the fucking fence, right? Drone number 2, I don't know. I know a lot of this sounds fantastic, Fantasyland type stuff, but the technology is available. You don't even need a drone. You just need one of these microwave dishes that shoots a microwave beam, and it disables vehicles, disables drones. Here's another thing, is the terrorists can fly drones with chains and drop the chains. This whole drone thing is really turning out to be a Pandora's box of shit that just drives me crazy. It's like I see the good of them, but I see how they can be abused. I see how they can help people. I can see how they can hurt people. Definitely a Pandora's box. But they have heat guns, right? It shoots a beam of energy, and when it hits an animal or person, it makes it so hot that you run away. You turn and run. You cannot tolerate it. So I would almost think you have to have these all around a power substation. There's an idea. You get close, it'll just start heating you up. If you make it past that and the inside, now you're going to get fucking killed. But just what is the appetite of government? I really think, Dan, what's going to happen is somebody is going to have to commit an act of terror and take out a substation or 2 or 5 and cause a serious fucking problem before they decide to take any action, because that's government. Government will do nothing to help us. But if their power goes out, stand back, we can't have that. If their food supply, their comfort level is disrupted, they can't have that. Already government has backup generators to take care of them, and food supplies, and fucking tunnels for protection. Fucking hate government. All it does is care for itself and fuck everyone else. No wonder so many people hate it. All right, Dan, we're down to the last 10 minutes. Let's do it, Uman. It's Dan the Man again. with another $10 super chat and a change of topic. He says, had a homeless drug addict try and assault me last week. Amazing. Once you get a hold of their thumb and start bending it towards the wrist, they become controllable. That is amazing how, well, they go from being out of control to under control. It is funny how a finger, a thumb, can direct somebody into a faceplant so quickly. Right? You grab that hand behind the shoulder, bend the finger back so that the finger touches the back of the wrist. When that happens, people tend to behave a lot differently. And then you just guide them gently and allow their face to stop them on the ground. That's a nice takedown. And I'm glad that you were able to do this, Dan. And I don't recommend anyone going out and looking to practice on these homeless drug addicts because you can get hurt and you can get infected by them. So good thing you did that and tried to assault. Now, this is interesting. A very good friend of mine who drives a Jaguar last week went to go to a Sam's Club, I was told. And they parked their automobile, and there was a homeless person standing nearby with a shopping cart. This is in Florida. And my friend did not want to get out of the vehicle because typically they're accosted by bums begging for money and being aggressive. So my friend looked at this person, and the person was just intent, just staring at him with a shopping cart. Basically became afraid that if they got out of their vehicle, they would be rammed with the shopping cart, and then decided if I don't get out of the car, they're going to run into my car with this fucking shopping cart. Because this same friend of mine at a Publix supermarket, it's kind of like a Safeway or an Albertsons or very fancy Piggly Wiggly. Anyways, Publix got out. An aggressive panhandler asked for money. They were told, I don't carry cash. I have a credit card that I use. And the person became belligerent, threatening, wanted to assault them, much like what it sounds like you dealt with, Dan. And luckily, they were able to get away. The person wasn't so totally violent. They were able to get around them into the store, let the manager know. The police showed up, and it was a huge fucking fiasco with police everywhere because one or two bums gets out of hand. It's the smallest, most seemingly innocent interchange between humans can become a fucking train wreck of safety. Now, Dan, I'm sure, had his everyday carry on him. But maybe he didn't or wasn't able to draw it quickly enough because this homeless drug addict, right, was on him before he could do anything, and he had to resort to hand-to-hand combat. And thankfully, thank you, Dan, for not killing the fucking idiot. But, you know, you made sure that that they learned some respect. Right? That's just it. You can be taken advantage of and attacked in a blink of an eye, snap of a finger. So you've got to be aware and prepared. Now, women, I recommend you carry bear spray, mace, pepper spray, whatever you've got, if you don't want to carry a firearm. But women's purses are actually really good for having a very inconspicuous way to carry a pistol ready to rock and roll if needed. And I think situations like this that Dan has described are going to become more common as times become tougher and tighter. And I'm starting to see it even in Florida, where there's a lot of money and a lot of people coming with money to get away from other Democrat areas. But, you know, it's getting kind of rough here where they're becoming more aggressive. They're becoming more aggressive. And so I'll switch briefcase from one hand to another. And my EDC could be in my briefcase. It could be in the small of my back. Right. But I adjust things and maneuver in case one of these people decides to turn on me. But Dan, congratulations on avoiding being injured or attacked by this fucking lunatic. I think it's going to happen, folks. I really believe July 4th is going to be a big opportunity because it's an American holiday, the greatest American holiday, Independence Day. And I really believe that the enemies of America would like to see us damaged and frightened by them, if that's even possible. By frightened, I mean attacked, right? By the Intifada, which means anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-Western, hatred. They want to kill us all. Let's continue if we shall. And yeah, being Mexican, being black, you're not going to be saved. It's Blue Cord Devil, and he's back. He's back. Making sure my buzz stays real. And it's real. And it's another Glenlivet 15 single malt scotch. Woohoo. I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight, whether I like it or not. All right, Blue Cord Devil. Semper Fi, brother. I hope you are doing well, brother, in your heart, in your head, and in your preps. Let's do it. He says, John, they do make CS powder. And there you have it versus the liquefied droplets. CS powder you can drop on the protesters. It would work better from a drone. Now, the cool thing about drones is, yes, they are pushing air down so it would blow. Again, my concern is having it aerosolized and not really being as effective as it should because the drone has to stay far enough away they can't be taken down as easily as they would like to. But yeah, I really believe that there should be a lot more of this. Now, I mean, the police shoot tear gas canisters, CS canisters. It's like an M203 grenade launcher type thing, right? It's just a gas canister, and it fucking hurts if you get hit with one. I've never been hit with one, and I don't wanna. But it distributes just a huge cloud, and these protesters, they're assholes. Some of them have gas masks. I think owning a gas mask is smart. In fact, you all should. You should all own gas masks with NBC filter cartridges. NBC meaning nuclear, biological, chemical, not the fucking Peacock news channel. But these guys show up with a gas mask and they want to hang out with it. I don't understand why there aren't, and it could just be that there's not enough law enforcement, but why they don't corral these motherfuckers and arrest them and send them to places like Alligator Alley or, march them into whatever temporary detention facility with an electrified fence that's 20 feet tall with Constantine wire at the top and a roll of Constantine wire on the inside so that they can't even begin to try and get up it. The reason is just hold them there. Hold them there. Pre-trial. You've committed a crime, a serious crime. Mayhem is a fucking felony. And if you're in a riot, that is mayhem. And you stay there until your trial. In I think the state of Arizona, Sheriff Arpaio had these outdoor prisons, right, where the prisoners stayed in tents. It was very uncomfortable, very nasty. Hey, that's your fucking life. You want to be a criminal? You aren't entitled to air conditioning and steak and fucking lobster. You get the worst possible conditions, short of being cruel and unusual. Right? I'm not saying torture and beat them. I'm saying hold them, try them, and give them fucking prison time. These are worthless fucking humans, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm with you, Blue Cord Devil. We have the stuff. It just needs to be. Okay. It just. It needs to be effective, and crime needs to be deterred. These people aren't Americans as far as I'm concerned. They're not Americans. They're anti-Americans. Therefore, the enemy of the country. Ooh, man, we're at the 2-hour mark. Where are we going next? We got more stuff coming. We got Twisted Acres Artisan LLC, who says Alligator Alcatraz AA is set to begin operations in July or August. The facility, a migrant detention center in Florida is reportedly on track to open the first week of July with 5,000 beds. Bueno. That's half its capacity, expected to be available by early July. That would be the next week or two. According to NPR, National Public Radio, which is a communist broadcast paid for with your tax dollars. It is being built using emergency powers invoked by Governor DeSantis, according to the BBC. So we have NPR and the British Broadcasting Corporation telling us what we're doing here in the great state of Florida. So, interesting. It's being built with emergency powers under the Governor DeSantis. Terrific. That does not mean they are exempt from a lot of these other rules and regulations. Perhaps they've got some stuff fast-tracked or they're using another type of facility. But yes, interesting indeed. I'm like I said, this really is very new and fast upon us, folks, and I'm damn glad that Governor DeSantis is doing it. I really believe that he would make a fabulous president, but I would want him to have, and I know this is going to sound terrible, but war powers that of course border on dictatorial powers to deal not with you and I as law-abiding Americans, but criminals, anti-Americans, terrorists, to deal with them quickly, swiftly, justly, and permanently. Northern Pike, $5 super chat donation, says, John, sir, did you ever see the China cage apartments some lower class Chinese live in? Alligator Alcatraz can easily hold 10 or 20,000 very quickly. It could. Now, there's a lot of concerns here. Again, this little island, right? It's in a swamp, surrounded by a fucking moat. What do you do with the sewer? How do you get enough fresh water to them? How do you get food to them? How do you keep the prison staff safe? I've had many family members work in corrections, and staff safety is incredibly important. There's a lot that goes into this, and so I think that may be why they want to start with lower head counts, like 1,000 or 5,000 versus 10 or 20. But yeah, I mean, all of this has to be designed and planned. Unless it was already in planning. Look out. All right. Thank you, Northern Pike. And the Chinese living in cages. Oh, well, Japanese, they live in fucking closets. Literally. A cubicle that they have to slide into head first or feet first. Awful living conditions, but I know what you mean. High density living. Looking at the Transaguera and other scumbags in the prison down there in El Salvador, they got them stacked. It looks like 20 feet high. Okay, prisoners, get in your fucking cages. You know, they're not happy about it down there, but hey, you want to be a fucking criminal? That's what you get. Now, one more word of warning before we go to the next super chat. Uman says we got a few more. Is if the Democrats get power, they would love to have Alligator Alley for people like you and me. Constitutional, freedom-loving Americans who won't go out and get their Jim Jones juice, who won't subscribe to the new Muslim woke world they want to foist upon our heads. And they would love to lock us up in what Hillary called a re-education camp. Because you are deplorable, my friends, just like me. All right, man, who's next? We've got Bob Hunter back from Scotland with another £5 super chat, and he says, just a thanks, John, for being you. I'm so glad you're a kind-hearted human being. Why are most people not like us, John? I don't know. Here's the deal, Bob. Back when I was young and naive, which is, I think, 3 years ago. No, seriously, 20 in my 20s and even my early 30s, I thought, if more people thought like me, we'd all just get along. We'd understand. So since I seem to understand how to live peaceably, mind my own fucking business, work hard, be kind to animals, right? Loving to my mother, all that shit. They just need more information. They don't have enough information yet. You see, in order to make a qualified, intelligent decision, you need the minimum amount of information, but the more you have, the better your decision will be, the more beneficial for yourself and others. And then I realized I was just naive. There's people that know better and they don't give a fuck. They're just going to be an asshole. They're going to be criminal. They're going to be mean. They're going to be evil because that's what they are. That's what they are. People are not the sum of the information available to them because look at the internet. We all have access to the same information. But we seem to be the sum of not just the information we get, but rather our life experiences and moral foundation. You've got that. And then are you born a certain way or is it who you're raised by? In other words, the whole nature versus nurture argument. And I used to have this discussion with Dr. Tim all the time, good friend of mine. We'd sit down, have Mexican food, drink some Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, IPA, or the Bigfoot. Anyways, yeah, I miss Dr. Tim. What a great guy. Super intelligent. But why are people the way they are? And why do they make these shitty decisions? Why can't they be like us and be good? Why can't people, even if they're a good man, want to be better? Why wouldn't you go to Moose Lodge, Elks Lodge? Why wouldn't you be a Rotary or a Lions Club or a Mason or an Oddfellow or some club, right? Why wouldn't you do some civic organization that helps other people and you be decent? And why not? Because people fucking suck. They make bad decisions. And some people, no matter how much, look, I used to, because of my position with a large organization I used to work for, I would counsel people. They would come to me with a problem. I'd talk to them. And I'd say, look, you've told me your story. These are the decisions you made. They're not great decisions. You made a poor decision, so you need to make better decisions. So take yourself out of this bad situation and put yourself over in this good situation. These are the things you need to do. These are the steps you need to take. And I'd spend a fucking hour, Bob, talking to these fucking people. And they'd say, thanks, John. It was a great conversation. I really appreciate your time. And you know what they do? They'd get up, walk out of my fucking office, out the door and gone. And they'd make the same stupid fucking decisions again. They'd completely ignore everything I just fucking said to them. Ignore it 100% and go right back down Dumbville. And I realized that they're just not capable. They're not going to make the right decision. Even if you tell them which decision is correct, people are fucked up. So, Bob, what we do is we find good people like us and we help ourselves and help other people become better men or women, as it were, depending on who you're talking to. But that's what you do. You surround yourself with people that you want to be like and that are like you. And then you hope to influence others and nurture others to bring them up to that level. And it's a wonderful thing when that happens. But many times it doesn't. And that's why we're in this fucking predicament we're in now. Because in Washington, D.C., they've surrounded themselves with assholes just like them. Thieves like them. Extortionists like them. Murderers like them. Drug users like them. Homosexuals like them. Freaks of nature like them. Evil people like them. And now there's no consequences because they're all the same. They break the law here, they don't see it. They break the law there, they don't see it. And now we have a country run by a bunch of fucking criminals who are nothing like you and I, Bob. And I could be talking about Washington as quickly as I could be talking about London. It just doesn't matter, right? It's almost like the human race is doing this, not just for the first time, but cyclically, in cycles, again and again and again. And now we're in this room. Folks, we're over 2 hours in, and we're over 450 people live after 2 hours of being right here talking this talk. Bob, thank you, brother. Be safe, and I hope to see you again very soon on the channel. If not every day watching, at least come in on Sunday Night Live. I really appreciate it. Ooh, man, what are we going to do next? We've got Northern Pike, $2. He says, that calls for ringing the bottle soon. Okay. Thank you, Northern Pike. I don't know the phrase, but G-Man with the $50 super chat comes in. Oh, and here we go. The G-Man says $50 super chat. That's right here. That means a scotch for me. 15-year Glenlivet single malt scotch whiskey. And he has an interesting comment that just about makes me want to puke. But before we do that, I'm going to have this fine shot of scotch whiskey. Thank you, G-Man in Ohio. And I got to tell you, people from Ohio are a very special type of people. I have never met someone from Ohio who is not and this is a positive expression, a fucking handful to deal with. He says, this is just a G-Man. He says, take a shot, John. Just did. He says, I'm in Ohio, and last I heard, the cat dog eaters were relocated to Lima. Lima's a town that's been decimated for decades by poor political decisions. Lima, one of the acronyms for it is Lost in Middle America. It's a town that's lost. In any event, he says the cat and dog eaters have been relocated there. In other words, they gave an American city to Haitians because it is the Haitians who have been going around collecting people's cats and dogs and eating them and going to local ponds and catching these semi-domesticated geese and ducks and eating them. Anyways, I believe President Trump called Haiti a shithole. And I think Senator Lying Hontus, Polka Slut Hontus, piece of shit, Elizabeth Warren, said, oh, no. Haiti's a wonderful place. It's not a shithole. So Trump should say, oh, if Haiti's not a shithole, let's send all the people back. And they should be. In fact, there's a lot of people right now, I believe they're Haitians, who are having their temporary emergency stay removed. In other words, they're going to be sent back, and they should. I don't give a shit if Haiti is a fucking paradise or a shithole. That's their country. Let them go fix their country. We've got our own problems here. We don't need their fucking problems. And the fact that they're eating all of our cats and dogs is just an awful, awful thing. I wouldn't mind if they were eating the rats, but, we aren't that fortunate. In any event, G-Man, thank you, sir. That one is going to hurt. Okay, well, man, where are we rolling? What do we got? We got Bob Hunter. He says, love you, John and New Man. Respect. Yes, sir. Respect. And another $2 one from Bob. Good golly, man. He says, thanks, John. You bet, man. And keep your kitty safe. Keep your kitty safe. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do if someone, got one of my pets. Uman says, developing story, at least 9 firefighters shot and 2 police injured in an ambush attack on first responders in Idaho. Idaho, folks. Fucking Idaho. I bet it was in Boise. Because up north, Coeur d'Alene and the more rural areas are still very much Republican. Boise, however, is turned into little San Francisco by Californians who have left California, ruined Boise, Idaho, and turned it into an absolute shithole. This is crazy. We'll probably be talking about this tomorrow morning at 0:30 or tomorrow night when we get more details. Thank you, Mr. Uman, for bringing that up. And where are we at? Super chats, are we done? Do we have more? What's going on? We're past the 2-hour mark. And we are done. I got to tell you, folks, this has been a great show. Fantastic. I've got everything I wanted to talk about. We didn't even get to it. That's how much shit is hitting the fan. That's how crazy the world is. And I want you guys to know I appreciate everything you do, the mentality. And please understand, we are surrounded by our enemies. Just because you have a good heart doesn't mean everyone else does. Don't do violent, bad things. Don't hurt people, but understand they are a threat unless you know who they are. So please be defensive in your driving, be aware in your persona, etc., etc. It is, whoa, it is up near Coeur d'Alene. How about that? That terror activity, the ambushing of first responders, firemen, and police is up in Coeur d'Alene. Wow. Chaos on the ground. It's wild. Folks, stay tuned. And we'll be back 0 dark 30 in the morning all week long. 4th of July coming up. I think we're going to have some action. God bless America and all of our allies, our friends, and loved ones. Semper Fi.